in Cleveland without Kyrie. Have you watched Kyrie's act since LeBron and him separated? He's hurt again and uncoachable again. And Brooklyn's got a better record when he doesn't play again. And Boston now is way better without him. Y'all kept telling me it was a Kyrie thing. Kyrie's career borders on bust as a number one pick if you take the LeBron years out. People were saying before LeBron got there, uncoachable, always hurt, nobody likes him. LeBron left, all that stuff come back. Nobody likes him, uncoachable, doesn't win, and he's hurt again. As a number one pick, Kyrie's career, take LeBron out, he's just gifted like the rest of this league. You can't get to this league without being gifted. You just can't get it. I've gone to events that have had baseball players and hockey players and basketball players, NBA players, and NFL players. NBA players just look different. The length, the size. They're just gifted. And they're all great at something. And several are like out of this world at something, like Damian Lillard shooting, Steph Curry shooting. But to watch LeBron last night, he does everything well. Last night, he's an old man. He had 17 fast break points. That's like an old man going up to Usain Bolt and go, "Excuse me, young man, I'm gonna be in lane 3." Phew, running past him. He had 17 fast break points. So, and you know what's funny about this? For years and years, you kept telling me about Anthony Davis. Okay, you kept telling me about him, and I like Anthony Davis. I think he's the top 5-6 player in the league. But when you put Anthony Davis and LeBron together on the same team, you guys see the gap, right? Like Anthony Davis, 60th in the NBA in fourth quarter scoring. Last night, Anthony Davis, 6 for 20. Last night, Anthony Davis hurt again. When you put LeBron and AD on the same floor, it is the Grand Canyon of a gap. You can keep hating on this guy and criticizing this guy. Old man flex last night. Good for LeBron. Okay, here's a rule, and I'm going to say it. Who is Nick Saban's best friend in coaching, Joy?
Bill Belichick.
Winners like winners. Winners don't like hanging around losers. Winners don't like hanging around mediocre people. Stars hang out with stars. Winners hang out with winners. And the NBA, more than any league in the world, maybe international soccer is close, is a star-driven league. LeBron stayed in Cleveland for years, and then he went to the Olympics. He was like, I can play with guys like that. And LeBron came back to Cleveland. He's like, I want to go play with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. LeBron for years stayed in Cleveland, and he was loyal, and he didn't leave. And then he started sampling playing with other great players. It's like, damn, you're going from like a steak, like that's a steakhouse, and just getting a steak. You can go to a lot of restaurants and get a steak, but you go to a good steakhouse and get a steak, you're like, that. You stop going to the other restaurants that also have steak on the menu, but they're not steakhouses. So Giannis is a star. We know Milwaukee does not attract free agents. It doesn't. It's like Utah. It's a great NBA franchise, but they don't attract free agents. Here's a rumor, and it's not a bad one, and I believe it to be true. The Warriors acquired Andrew Wiggins for one reason, to get Giannis. Remember, Wiggins makes a lot of money. In order to trade for Giannis, you have to have a huge salary. Wiggins makes a lot of money. They're also going to have the number one pick in the draft and Minnesota's pick, which will be a lottery pick. Can Milwaukee do better than Andrew Wiggins and 2 lottery picks? I'll say it again. The key to this league, because this would change the league if he goes to Golden State. It will change the league. You thought Durant and the Warriors were good. Durant gone. Giannis, Steph, Draymond, and Clay. No, thank you. That you might as well just set your clock to those guys in the finals. If Chris Middleton for Milwaukee does what he did last year in the playoffs and shrinks, Giannis is gone. Winners want to hang out with winners. Stars want to hang out with stars. Belichick and Saban. Belichick has to go to college to find a guy he wants to hang out with. Saban's got to go to the pros to find a guy he wants to talk to. Winners hang out with winners. Last year, Chris Middleton, in that series against Toronto, had one game over 14 points. We know about the NBA. The refs, Joy and I talk about this, the refs swallow the whistle. The refs don't want to get in the way of the series. And so what happens in the NBA playoffs, guys who are not comfortable in that physical space, they shrink. James Harden shrinks. People play real defense, and the refs swallow the whistle. So James Harden doesn't get the call in the playoffs. He's a great player, but he's not as dominant in the playoffs. Paul George is a very talented player. Doesn't always like the physicality of it. Paul George shrinks in the playoffs. Now, Kawhi can be physical. LeBron can be physical. D. Wade, physical. Paul Pierce could be physical. The late Kobe could be physical. Shaq could be physical. Those guys don't shrink in the playoffs. The NBA playoffs, refs swallow whistles. It's a players and a stars league. Young guys shrink, and guys that don't like physicality shrink. Chris Middleton shrinks. Remember last year against Toronto? Milwaukee up 2-0, series over, game 3 win, series over. Chris Middleton was 3 for 16. Evaporated. Folks, that happens again. Giannis is out. Stars hang with stars. Winners hang with winners. He's not sticking around in Milwaukee with Chris Middleton, who's a nice kid and a 20-a-night regular season player. But you get to the postseason. Boston plays defense and gets physical. Toronto plays defense and gets physical. Okay, Philadelphia's got size and can be physical. Get ready for it, Milwaukee. This rumor, Golden State can offer perhaps the number 1 pick, another lottery pick, and Andrew Wiggins' salary matches up. And right now, never forget this. This is why, and this will change the league. Giannis will go from Chris Middleton's my number 2 to Steph is my number 2, Clay is my number 3, and Draymond is my number 4. That is a 5-year dynasty. That is, you don't want any part of that. That would go down as potentially, that would rival Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen's Bulls. That one you'd be like, okay, they shoot better than the Bulls, they're better inside than the Bulls, and they got a great coach. That would be an all-time team. And Giannis knows it. And don't kid yourself. The timing is perfect. Think about this. LeBron has left the East. This is why Milwaukee has to win now. They have to win the East. LeBron left the East. Kawhi left the East. The Sixers are gifted but dysfunctional. KD this year is hurt. This is the year. Middleton shrinks. Giannis would be out of his mind not to sign an extension. He'd be out of his mind. He's a smart kid. And by the way, he's done everything you've asked of him in Milwaukee. Don't blame him. He's done everything. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he just signs an extension tomorrow to put these things to rest. But Milwaukee does not attract free agents. And if I can go from Chris Middleton's my 2 to Steph, and then Clay and Draymond, I'm going 74 and 8. What's 74 plus 8 is 60, 82. Yes, that's my record. So I think this story is real. I think the window is now. If Milwaukee cannot win the East with KD out, LeBron, Kawhi out, Sixers talented but dysfunctional, you can't win it this year. It's not getting easier. All those good Celtic players, Jason Tatum's 21. You got Jaylen Brown. They are all getting better. Jason Tatum has made a huge leap this year from year 1 to year 2. I mean, he is a top 7 player in the league. That kid can put it on the deck. He can shoot. He can score. He can drive. Jason Tatum now, he's not getting worse. He is going to be a star for a decade. Jaylen Brown now. Kyrie's gone, giving you 20. These young Celtics are only getting better. And they draft like you know what. So and they have picks. I am so fired up today.
You definitely are.
Okay, coming up next. There's going to be a city out there. You know what? You know I'm right in Michigan. You know I'm right on this. You don't want to admit it, but you know I'm right. And interesting story develops today. Oh, my. We got my guy, Tua. Very interesting story developing. That's coming up next. Over 50 years ago, 2 men, they had a passion. They liked engineering. Must have been smart guys. And they loved motorsports. And they started building race engines in an old abandoned mill. It was probably somebody else's mill. They didn't care. When you got something you want to do, you got to get it done. Somebody's mill. They saw an opportunity, an invitation, push the envelope, break the rules. A chance to prove that 2-ton family sedans could have the performance to compete in a 24-hour track race. Shocking the competition. That wasn't enough. They wanted to validate their belief by putting race car engines in luxury sedans. They did, and stunned the elite in world motor racing. We'll never truly understand what drives Mercedes-AMG to break barriers and records, but here's to allowing us to enjoy the results. Learn more at MBUSA.com.